Here we go, guys. We are back with you people once again with another movie review.
Hell yeah, we are.
Yes. Now, this time around, guys, we're going to be talking about the movie Stakeland,
Oh
which,
yeah.
which came out in, this is in the United States, October of 2010.
That's a long time
Yeah,
ago,
that's
dude.
some time back. Now, this is a vampire movie. This is,
Yeah.
from what I'm reading, it's an American post-apocalyptic vampire horror film.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is a pretty good film, but it definitely has its flaws, and we're going to go over all that,
Oh yeah. It,
today.
it, it has a lot of flaws.
Yeah, we have some issues with the film, but
hmm
there's also some cool parts with the film.
Yeah.
You
I
know,
mean, it is a really good movie, really
right?
good film, but I just feel like there's a lot of stuff that, to me, and I don't know about how it feels to you, but to me, there feel like there was a lot of mistakes. There was a lot of just stuff that didn't make sense, and
Yeah. Plus, people like stars of the film getting like killed off. I didn't really agree with that.
yeah, I
You
mean,
know,
not just killed off, but they're killed off out of the blue. Like,
right?
wait a minute, what?
So I'm going to go over a little bit over the plot here, and then we'll get into it. So this is a vampire movie, and humans find themselves on the run from these fucking vampire, and
Yeah,
there's
so
large cities are left as tombs as survivors cling together, fearing nightfall.
yeah,
But it
because
pretty
well, what we all know with vampires, they can't come out during the day because the sunlight will
right.
burn them up and all
Right.
this, and
But I'm not so sure about this movie. Maybe vampires could come out in the day. I don't know. Most movies they don't.
well, I mean, in this one
Suddenly.
too, they don't because
Okay.
they show a couple vampires that get burnt up, and
Oh,
you
that's
know,
right. Yeah, I forgot about that. They had him like a burnt vampire wrapped around like the front of a house or something, right?
yeah, well, no, well, yeah, they had that, and then they found one that was like it got trapped where something fell on him, and
Right.
he couldn't get out before the sunlight hit, and the sun burned him up.
So we got the two. There's two main actors in here. One named Nick something, and as Mister, who's the
Yeah,
he's the
Mister, he was a badass
yeah.
character in this
He
movie.
he's a hunter of the zombie-like vampires who takes the other star, which his real name is Connor, but he's played as Martin.
Yeah,
He takes Martin under his wing because his family gets fucking taken out big time.
yeah, like right at the beginning of the movie, you see it opens up with Martin and his parents, and I guess either a baby brother or baby sister.
Right.
Like
I mean,
they're in a garage, or getting their car loaded up, and you hear the radio station on the thing saying, if you're gonna travel, don't travel at night. It's too dangerous.
right. And he goes to get the dog because the dog
Yeah,
ran off.
yeah, like the parents are trying, like the mother is trying to tell them, like, why can't we just wait it out tonight? We'll just go first thing in the morning. And then the dog runs off, and the kid Martin goes to chase the dog, and he's outside.
Right.
He's like, where are you at? And then all of a sudden, like, you see the door behind him like slowly close, and you hear screaming, and
Right. His mom tells him to
yeah,
run.
yeah, his mom like busts out a window, and she's just yelling for like Martin to run, like, and of course, instead of, what does he do? Like, this is another thing I
Yeah, he
always
goes to
have.
run inside, and then
Yeah,
Mister tackles him.
I mean, how many times have you seen that in movies where somebody will tell you, like, run, run, and it's like, no, I'm just gonna stand here. I'm just gonna
Yeah.
stand here. Well, oh yeah, I'll run. All right, I'll run back into the house.
Right, right. Which he tried to do until the Mister
Yeah,
tackled
yeah,
him.
yeah. Tackle them down. Tell them, like, if you don't keep quiet and listen to me, I'll kill you or whatever.
Right.
they go in. They go. So they both go in the
into the house or the garage.
garage, and
Everybody's pretty much dead.
yeah, they see the mom dead. The dad's like all fucked up to where
Yeah.
he's pretty much dead, and you know you start hearing like the baby like crying, and they look up in the rafters of the
Right.
garage.
The fucking vampire's eating it.
Fucking vampire is feasting on the baby.
Yeah, that was crazy.
And then it's just like it looks at Mr. and Martin and just drops the fucking baby out of the rafter.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I remember that when the first time I saw that, that blew my mind because a lot of movies, I mean, you hardly ever see, I mean, there's some movies out there that babies have been put in danger.
Yeah, like in one of the Feast films.
Yeah, like one of the Feast movies where they throw it up in the air. And,
Yeah. It's
yeah,
like, what the hell?
Yeah, but so they wound up killing the vamp.
Right, and the dad tells the son, Mister, watch over him or something like that
Yeah, he's
before he
yeah.
dies.
And then he's like, tell him, okay. And then he I don't know if he had a sword or what, but he looked like he decapitated the dad or something. But,
Right. But then, yeah, Mister takes Martin under his wing and he starts training him how to hunt vampires and shit.
Yeah,
And then there's an awful lot of traveling in this film, man.
yeah. Well, I mean,
Which is
you
crazy.
know, during all that, Martin, you hear he's kind of like, what do you call it, when somebody's like a narrator, narrating what's going on, like,
Right.
like I have to, stick by his rules or we're dead, and
Right.
they drive this old, dilapidated old, like, I forget what kind of car it was. I think it was like a Ford.
I don't remember.
But
They go from town to town.
yeah, and they just drive. I mean, it's like you see them just driving and driving throughout, stopping here and there,
Right.
stopping at a town for a night.
I thought it was funny how the Mister, they stop at a town, he goes and gets laid.
Yeah, and then
Idiot.
he comes out, and Martin asks him, like, what was her name? And he's just like, I didn't ask.
Yeah. That's pretty
But
funny.
it also, was funny. They go to that town. He starts asking about, like, they go to a bar because Mister is always just like, he always wants a drink and a cigarette and all that shit.
Right.
And he goes to a bar and asks him, like, you got any liquor here? And he's like, what you got to trade? And that's what you do in that time period. Money is basically worthless.
Right.
So
Didn't he have like vampire teeth?
Yeah. First he gave him, like, he had like a bottle of antibiotics. He
Yeah.
gave him that bag of weed and then he pulls out the little pouch that they open it up, and it has a bunch, like, every time he kills a vampire, he pulls their fangs or whatever.
Right. Their sharp teeth out.
Yeah.
I thought that was interesting.
Yeah. So they keep traveling, and then
Yeah, until they end up with finding Kelly McGill's character.
Yeah.
She's a sister, a nun, saved from
Yeah.
two guys were going to rape her.
yeah, I mean, it looked like they attacked her and left
Right.
her all bloody, and
Right.
so Mister winds up fucking.
These two
saving
guys
her.
were part of a cult leader.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of them was the son, right?
Yeah.
But
we
they-
found out later that he's the son of the main. I guess they were called the Brotherhood.
Something like that. But they're a
Yeah.
cult leader. But yeah, she gets like attacked by these two guys.
Yeah,
And Mister and Martin,
pull
they
up, and
yeah.
he jumps out. And,
Mister ends up fucking just killing him.
Yeah, I remember he winds up like socking like one of the guys in the throat.
And he throws something into the back of the other guy.
Yeah, that impales him.
It looked like a tire iron with a hook, well, with a spear on it or something.
Yeah.
But he doesn't actually end up killing him because the dad tells him.
It's funny he didn't kill that guy, but he went ahead and killed the other guy that was with him.
Right. Well, he ended up dying though, because the dad.
Yeah, tells him, like, he screamed for 3 hours
Right.
for his until he died.
Cult leaders, which you don't see a lot of the cult leaders. They only show up like a few short times, but um, yeah, they end up saving. You know, the sister is played by Kelly McGillis, which I don't see her in a whole lot of movies, but I know she was in Top Gun.
Yeah, but wasn't she also in a? No, that was another Kelly. The one girl that was in Steven Seagal, Mark for
Oh, yeah. I forgot her name, but I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
But she ends
yeah,
up going with them, and they end up staying the night at this place. But then there's another vampire that comes out, and they catch the person.
yeah. It was no, they go stay at a house.
Right.
And then they hear like a vampire outside. It turns out to be one of the sister's fellow nuns, and
right. She's like, I thought she was dead, and the guy and Mister's like, yeah, she is.
Yeah, she is.
Yeah, she's a fucking vampire, man.
Yeah, they go out there and take her out, and then it's funny, like you see the next shot in the morning, they're burying the nun vampire, and Martin is like narrating how he's like, Mr. wound up pulling her fangs, but they waited to after the sister like wasn't around for it.
Right. You know what's interesting? What I'm reading here is that it says Stakeland was the first feature film for Kelly McGillis after a 10-year hiatus from acting.
Wow.
So she didn't act for years, I guess. That's interesting. I wonder what draw her into this film.
I don't know. I mean, to me, and what got me about her in this movie, you asked yourself one point in the movie, like, what was her fucking purpose in the movie?
Right. Same thing goes with a lot of them. Even the Marine guy that they pick up.
Yeah.
We'll get to that, but yeah, he gets picked up eventually. But actually, then they get, at some point after they kill that vampire woman, they get caught. They get picked up by the cult leader. Right?
Yeah, because they fall for their trap where they pull up to a church or town thing, and
they had this fake baby recording.
You hear like a baby crying,
right?
And when they walk in, you see like a bunch of people like slumped over with like empty cups, laying like they all like drank the infamous Kool-Aid.
Yeah, or whatever. They drank the Kool-Aid, but they didn't. They were all alive. And they captured them.
They're all sitting there acting like they're all dead, like all slumped over. Then when Mister goes to the baby care, I think it was Kelly McGillis that wound up going to the where the baby's at, and they pull the thing out. You see just a baby doll with a recording, and then when they turn around, like all the people that you thought were dead, are all now standing up with like guns pointed at them.
Right. And it says here, the cult leader, he claims the vampires are sent to do his and the Lord's work.
Because you hear that they somehow these motherfuckers can commandeer like planes and helicopters and stuff.
Right.
And they drop like vampires out of the helicopter.
Yeah, well, that comes later. We'll talk about that.
Yeah, well, I'm talking about not only that, but they said, the guy told me before, like, they do stuff like that.
Right. But yeah, it was weird because they ended up taking... He was pissed at Mister because he had killed his son.
Yeah.
Then he ends up with some cool dialogue and shit, and he takes him
Remember what his name was in the movie?
Not offhand.
It was Jebediah Lovett.
Okay, that's an interesting name.
But so they get their hands on Mr. Martin and Kelly McGillis, and at one point they got like Mr. all completely like hog tied and like swing, and he's telling them like and he's like, I know who you are, mister. You know, and it's like, you killed 2 people the other day. One of them was my boy.
Bad news.
And he's telling about how, like, you staked him in the back. He's like, he was crying for his mama for 3 hours before he died. And, like, he even says, like, instead of, like, killing him and taking Mister out at that point,
Yeah.
they take him in a van way out somewhere, and he just, like, stops and throws him out of the back of the van and tells him, and shows him that there's a, you know, like, leaves him in a road where there's a bunch of vampires. And,
Right.
and like,
There's at least 3 or 4 vampires out there.
yeah. See, the funny thing is, though, that he leaves them, like, a pole that had a fire on it, and he's like, better hope that flame don't go out, boy. And he just, like, shuts the door, and they take off, and, like, you see him, like, take the pole and break it in half and use it as, like, a stake.
Right. But it doesn't actually show him fighting those vampires.
Yeah, you don't. You just see him, like swinging at him, like a close-up
Right.
shot of his face, and then
And then it cuts it to something else.
yeah, it just cuts to Martin waking up at their compound
Right.
with Kelly McGillis, like, you know, kind of being like a mother to him, like.
Right. He ends up having sex with her.
No, not her. Fucking not him. The cult leader.
Yeah, that's what I mean. The
Yeah,
cult leader ends up wanting to have sex with her, and he tells the kid to go fetch some water.
Yeah, he gives him like 3 pails and tells him go to the creek and fill those up. And he tells him, he's like, you can, you know, run if you want, but just know there ain't nothing out there but vampires.
Right. He ends up running anyways,
Yeah,
which is a
because,
smart move.
Because going back and watching this, I haven't watched the movie in years.
Right.
When I went back and watched it, I noticed that when he's telling him about he can run if he wants, and he looks back at the sister, Martin does, and she kind of gives him like a nod, like, it's okay, go, you know.
Right. Yeah,
And,
because we just watched it again for the first time
yeah.
the other night. Because I haven't seen it either in years, but I wanted to watch it to review it.
Yeah. You know, I'm glad I rewatched it, because when I watched it years ago, I thought, like, man, this is one of the bestest vampire movies I've ever seen. And then going back and watching it again, now I started noticing, like, I noticed stuff about the movie I didn't notice before, like, just like all the things that left you like, what the fuck?
Right. That didn't make sense. But anyways, the kid ends up, running away.
Yeah, and he's like saying in his narration thing, like, if I got to get back to the car.
Yeah.
Okay, here's the thing: they abduct Martin, Mister, and the chick, but when he runs, it's like they left the damn, like, car where it was. It's like, why the fuck would y'all take them and not leave the car? You know.
I don't know.
But
he ends up, there's another vampire when he does get to the car.
Yeah, that's coming at him, and he's standing there with like a pole that he made.
Right, ready to fight this fucking thing.
Like, right when it's charging him, like, Mister all of a sudden pops out of the trunk,
And
grabs the kid and pulls him in the trunk with him, and
Right.
and then, like, kind of like hops over the seat and gets in the driver's seat while he's got the kid, like, kind of like, what do you call it, distracting it by making noise in the trunk, and the vampire's beating him, trying to,
Right.
and he winds up starting the car, throwing the vampire off the car, and then winds up, like, running it over at one point, backs up, and is waiting for it to come. He's like, I hate fucking vampires.
Yeah,
And he fucking goes at it, creams it, but the damn vampire hangs on to the side of the
door.
What was different about this vampire movie than a lot of others, like, you can shoot these vampires no matter anywhere. You shoot him in the head, chest, whatever, and it doesn't
Right.
kill him. Like the only way that you totally can kill him is either staking him to the heart, or if you sever their spine.
Right.
Is basically what, like, you gotta sever it through the back of the skull.
Yeah, so they end up creaming that vampire.
Yeah, and it holds onto the car for a while until Mister like turns the car like towards a tree and fucking
Right.
finally like knocks the damn vamp off the car, and
Right.
they just keep going.
And then eventually that's when they run into I believe the guy's name is Willie, a former Marine. He was picked up on the road. He was stuck in a bathroom.
Wait, didn't they pick up? No, they picked up Daniel Harris first.
Did they?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought it was him, but all right. So they picked up. Okay, so they went to another town,
They go to another town,
and then they
where
find Daniel Harris singing.
Who's singing?
Okay, yeah, I got that one confused.
She-
I thought they
she's
picked up
singing.
Willie first, but I guess
No, but they pick up Daniel. They go to a town, and then Martin, you can see that develops an attraction to Daniel Harris. Like she's like seeing, like watching her
Yeah.
sing and all this, and then
yeah, she plays a woman. What is it, Belly?
Belle.
Belle. Oh, okay,
And
gotcha.
then and not only that,
Yeah,
but
she's pregnant. Yeah.
she's pregnant in this movie, which that's another thing that didn't make sense to me. Like, what did it have to do with her being pregnant?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't even necessary for her to be pregnant.
Yeah, and we'll talk about that here in a bit, but
Yeah, at some point they end up wanting to leave the town, and she hitchhikes with them.
yeah, she's standing. It's funny, like she's standing there with her thumb out while they pass. At first they pass by her, but then they stop, and because Mister could tell that Martin is really into her.
Right. But
And
nothing
it's
really comes of it. You know,
Yeah.
they never really become a couple. They become like good friends,
Yeah,
but
and
that's
she
about
comes
it.
Yeah, like so they back up, they pick her up, they keep they leave, and then that's when, like, later on they wound up staying at that one house and Martin goes upstairs and he pulls back a thing and he sees like
This
a
young,
young girl like
Vampire.
laying there, and at first he thinks he's dead, but then she opens up her eyes and she's like, hey. And then all of a sudden you see, like, look at him, and it's kind of like you can see it like show its teeth, and you can see that she has fangs, so obviously, you know, she's a vamp.
right?
And he runs downstairs and tells him, like, there's a scamp. You know, that's what they call kid vampires, is scamps.
Yeah.
That's the name. I mean, they have different names for these vampires in this movie, which I thought was kind of cool. Like, they have like kids are vamps. I guess like some regular are vamps, but then they got like the oldest of the vamps are called berserkers.
Yeah. So they end up
And-
offing her.
Yeah, they kill her, and then they leave again, and then that's when
They find Willie.
they find Willie at that. He's in a bathroom stall, and he's got like a vamp that's dressed as Santa Claus.
Yeah, I liked it how I believe that's when the kid Martin shoots it like a bow and arrow.
Yeah,
Into
and he kills the vamp, and Martin, Mister just goes, "Nice shot, kid."
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
they rescue him, and then they
Now he was there because of the cult leader. Am I right?
yeah, because
Really?
they said that, you know what he was a military guy,
Right.
and then when
He was a Marine.
Yeah, and they were sent to a town to evacuate. The rest of his team got killed, and he wound up getting caught by the cult. And then basically, just like how they did Mister, where they left him in a road to be vampire meat.
Right.
And so they rescue him, and then
They end up traveling to another town.
well, no, they travel to a place where at first, you know, they find out. Yeah, okay, no, my bad. I got this messed up now. So they go to another town, And then as they're there enjoying, it's a
Yeah.
good town with good people.
They end up
And
finding Kelly McGill's
yeah,
again
they get reunited with her.
because she escaped.
And even it's funny, like at one point.
Oh, wait a minute! Before that, they found the cult leader, didn't they? Yeah.
They didn't take out the cult leader first.
Yeah, they did. They did before because they asked him where is sister.
Oh yeah. I forgot. Okay, my bad. So,
Yeah.
What I forgot about is they pick up Willie, and then they hear about all the how bad this cult is.
Right.
And they even stand up over a ridge and is watching like one of the roadblocks. And there was a scene that really pissed me off in that movie. Like, they stop a car with a person in it, and they just order them out of the car. They put him on his knees, and then next thing you know, you hear like a fucking gunshot. Like they just executed him.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's like that. I mean, then again, though, how many times in these kind of like apocalyptic movies do you see that shit? It's like
You do see that from time to time.
I mean, you see that shit in The Walking Dead with like Negan and all them guys. It's like no, only my group gets to live. Everybody else got to die.
Right. But then they end up, wanting to go after that cult leader, and they got dressed
because
in
once
their
they see
outfits.
him, after everything that he's done, I mean, after you've seen them just take some innocent person that's just trying to get to safety,
Right.
and just pull him out of his car and just for no fucking reason at all, just executing him right there on the side of the road.
He's a crazy ass bastard.
Yeah.
But they ended up, dressing like them with the hoods on and shit.
Yeah. Well, no. First, remember they sent Danielle Harrison to distract one of the guys by acting like she was going into labor.
Oh yeah.
And he's like, "Say, please help me." And Danielle Harris is such a great actress, dude. Like, I mean, she really had you fooled. Like, she was really going in the
Yeah, even the guy said that in the movie.
Yeah.
Even Willie said that you should have been an actor.
They knock him out, and the guy's just like, "That was great. You should have been an actress."
Yeah,
I'm like, she is an actress, you dumbass. But so they take him out. They use the truck that the guy had, and
they use the hoods.
Whatever. Yeah, and they drive up, and they
to the cult leader.
Yeah, Jebediah walks up, and he's like, "Hey, Clint, that's your boy?" And then all of a sudden, you see them just pull their heads off, pull the things off, and point their guns, and they attack him.
And they open the door and hit him in the face.
Yeah, they knock him down, and they take the other. What's weird is he's got two other guys with them. They have them stripped naked
and run off.
And he just tells them, "Now run!" And they run off, and he's throws all their clothes in a burn barrel.
Yeah.
And it's just like, wait a minute, why are you letting them live?
Yeah.
I mean, you've seen how dangerous these people are, how sadistic they are. Why are you just let them run off? That way they can run off and tell their other fellow Brotherhood people that, hey,
You're right, but Mr. ends up asking the cult leader where his sister, Kelly McGillis at, and shit.
Yeah, he's like, the bitch done run off on me.
Yeah.
I was only trying to protect her.
yeah, after you fucking raped her, dumbass.
Yeah, and then, so what gets me is, I really wish at that point, in that moment, he would just pulled out his gun and fucking capped the motherfucker.
Well, no, these guys made a big mistake by tying his ass to a tree.
They thought, they're like, oh yeah, well, you know what, you want to leave me for vampire meat? I'll leave you. And they tie him to a tree, and they wound up cutting his shirt, back of his shirt open to expose his back.
Right, and cut a cross in his back.
Drawing blood, because Martin says that, that the vampires can smell blood for miles away. It's It's like Mister knew it, and Jebediah knew it as well, and he's like, you can see in his eyes that he's like, the Jebediah's eyes, while he's tied to the tree, like he can tell he's freaked out. He knows what's happening,
Right.
and they leave him tied to the tree, cut, and they just drive off. And as they're driving off, you can hear him like, ah, like screaming.
Right.
And so you thinking like, okay, he's dead and gone. Like,
Yeah.
they got to worry about him no more. So they
end up driving for a while until they hit another town.
Yeah, they drive like all night and basically like, most of the next day until they get to a town which seems like it's a really good town. I mean, there's there's military people that keep people safe. There's check-ins. Like they finally get to the town and you see it's just, they fire up a generator and
the people were having fun, dancing and shit.
Yeah, they're eating ice cream, dancing, and
they end up finding Sister there.
Yeah, they find Sister, and Willie winds up finding this older, like, black lady, which he called Mama, which I was mistaken. I actually thought that was his actual mom for a minute, but then I was like, wait a minute, that can't be, because...
Yeah, I don't think it was, but I don't know.
But they all wind up, like, dancing. Like, Martin starts dancing with Danielle Harris, Willie dances with the other lady, and,
Mr. dances with the little kid.
Yeah, he's standing there like watching everything. This little girl comes up and asks him, and he picks the little girl up in his arms, and they're like all dancing, having a good time. And then you see like Martin look over, and he just gets this look like, hey, and you see that Sister standing there.
Right.
And he winds up like, they all like wound up like reuniting, thinking, okay,
giving her a hug and shit. And then that's when the fucking cult leaders start dropping vampires out of helicopters.
It was the cult itself that came by. And
my bad. No, not the leader, because he was tied up.
Yeah.
These occult people, which I thought was a pretty cool idea, because I don't think I've ever seen that before in a vampire movie.
Yeah, dropping vampires out of a damn helicopter
into a town.
Everything starts going crazy. Then, like the
people are killing vampires killing people.
Yeah, you see, like the main group.
The main group goes in the house and runs upstairs.
Yeah, and they're all sitting there and they're all looking, keeping an eye on things, and Mr. saying like, okay, we're just gonna wait it out here till morning. And
and then the one lady's up there, she's just sitting there dead.
Yeah, well, at first you don't know what the hell's going on. You just see the old lady sitting there with like just staring straight ahead, like
the dead eye stare.
Yeah, and you see him like, and even Willie's like, Mama, you okay?
Yeah, and they open her shirt and she's shot.
Yeah, and they check her, and they open up her shirt, and she's got like a bullet hole in her chest, and even Kelly McGillis even says like, tough old girl. She climbed up the whole flight of steps and didn't even complain, not once.
Yeah.
Like she was shot, and I was like, damn.
Yeah. Then that
was totally unexpected. Like you didn't because you see them all run up the steps, and when the lady's going up the stairs, she seemed all right.
Yeah, but she definitely wasn't.
Yeah, and then the next morning they all go out and they're seeing like the remains of what's happened.
Right.
And the most shocking part was like Martin looks down and he sees the little girl that Mister was dancing with. Her legs are like sticking out of a tarp that they tarp over the dead bodies.
Right, which is fucked up.
Yeah.
Then I guess they go to leave, and the sheriff guy wanted him to stay.
Yeah, the military guy is like,
the officer.
He's like, why don't y'all stick around? We can have this town back up and going tonight. And blah, blah, blah,
which they should have done. They should have stayed there.
Yeah. What I would have done, I would have stayed. I would have joined up with that militia. I'd be like, you know what? Let's take these fucking cult people out. Like,
no shit.
because obviously there can't be that many of them.
Right.
Because I mean, you only tell like I mean, yeah, you've seen like a bunch in that church, but it didn't seem like they had hundreds and hundreds
Right.
of fucking people.
If anything, it looked like they maybe had 20, 30 people, if that.
Yeah.
I don't know. There could have been more, but you didn't really see a whole lot. But they end up
No.
leaving, and they end up traveling some more, so we have a
Yeah.
lot of traveling until they come... Huh?
Yeah, they basically you see them like driving all day, all night,
Right.
into the next day. And
Until
then,
they come to this, like, what, car field or something?
no, they're driving down a road and the fucking car just winds up like finally clonking out.
Oh,
on,
yeah,
like,
that too. But they end up, like, in a car place.
a junkyard.
A junkyard, gotcha.
Yeah, they get out when they realize the car is dead. They grab their shit and they start like walking on foot. And then at first, like they don't hit the junkyard. Like they're up in like the mountains.
Right, they're walking for a while.
And Martin's like saying that up there in the mountains they haven't seen any vamps because the vamps don't like the cold.
Right.
And they're like, at one point they're all like, he's like, because they haven't been around people and they've been just themselves, and he's like, being alone is like, it started changing them. Like,
Right.
they didn't really speak to each other much. Like, he's like, like we cut out like all the small talk and we just did our tasks the way that what we're supposed to do was like work as a team. And then later on, they finally make their way to the junkyard where
Yeah,
they're thinking like, okay, this would be a perfect, safe spot for the night. And
yeah, they even set up like
like an alarm system
Right.
where they tie like a string around the edges around the junkyard with cans that if somebody knocks into them, you'll hear the
Right.
cans rattle.
That's when the vampires come at night, I believe.
Yeah, and they're all in the junkyard. They're all like sleeping. What gets me, like, they're in a junkyard full of cars, but yet they're sleeping out in in the open.
Right.
And like you start hearing the cans like start rattling, and they're all like jumping up, and you hear like Daniel Harris like, "There's no wind." And that's when they get attacked by a bunch of berserkers.
And they end up running off.
Yeah, and as they're all running through this field, and Kelly McGillis, who decides, like, she turns around and shoots one of the vampires.
Right. But she couldn't really keep up because she's
Well, no,
she's older too.
Yeah. She was running, but then she decided to like shoot one of the vampires, and she ran a different way, kind of get the vampires away from them.
Yeah. Plus, she was out of breath too, so I don't.
Yeah.
It's like she was probably thinking, "Fuck it, I'm not gonna make it."
Yeah, and she winds up running through the field till she gets to like I don't know what you call it. Like there was like a scarecrow that looked like a thing that looked like Jesus, like on a cross.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, and she's like staring at it, and then she just pulls out the gun, puts it to her head, and she's like, "Father, forgive me."
Right.
And
I mean,
like,
yeah, she takes herself out. And it sucks is like because she had a few vampires on her ass. It's like she had really no other options. The other guys had kept running.
Yeah, like she had two choices really: either take herself out or
Be taken out.
Get killed by vampires.
Right, and then the next day, the kid was pretty bummed out about that.
Yeah, they're standing by the one place. I guess he's like waiting for.
Right.
And you can tell he's super bummed, and everybody just starts moving on. And even Daniel Harris tells him, like, "I don't think she's coming, Martin."
Yeah.
And
she's gone.
So they leave. They leave there.
And at some point, they find a bus to sleep in.
They find a bus. They all go in and start using that as shelters, like boarding it up, making it safe. And at one point, they're all they're like they put Martin and Willie. They're with Danielle Harris, and Danielle Harris is like telling them like her baby's kicking, and
Right. She's happy.
Yeah, and she's had like, come on, I want to come out there and meet everybody.
Right, but Mister's not so happy about that.
And Mister, who's sitting in the driver's seat of the bus, all of a sudden, like, you hear him just like throw the door open, and he's just like throwing something out the door, and he's just like staring, like he's
not happy. Yeah.
Yeah, he's got a feeling about something, and you just don't quite know what it is.
Well, he's not happy that they're all happy in a fucking crazy vampire world.
Yeah,
you know,
well,
he probably feels like they need to be tough.
Remember the day before when they first find it, he's like staring off in the distance, and one of them asked him like, "What is it?" He's like, "It's nothing. I'm just old and cranky."
Yeah.
And then like they're on the bus, and once again he's staring off into the woods, like, you know, he's got a feeling like something's out there. And
well, that's when Willie's character gets taken out.
Yeah,
but we don't even see it happen.
Yeah, you just see like at nighttime you see Willie leave the bus to go behind it. I guess he's got to take a piss, and as in the middle of that, you just see like the screen just fade to black, and then the next morning, next scene is like it's next morning. He's waking everybody up, saying like, "Y'all get your weapons and gear up." He's like, "They're like, what's wrong?" He's like, "Willie's missing."
Right.
And so they go out, they start looking, and they find like his blanket thing that he was wearing.
Right.
And they get to one point, and they said that. Like they start smelling like dead flesh, like something around here is dead. It's like it's fresh.
Blood starts dropping on them.
Yeah, on Danielle Harris's head, and she's like seeing it, and she looks up, and you see like Willie wrapped up in his blanket, like hanging from a tree, which falls down in front of them. And then when they pull the blanket off of him, they see that he's dead, and it looked like his fucking heart got ripped out.
Yeah, which is crazy.
Yeah. And so it's like, they're like, fuck, we got to get out of here. You know, something's out here. We got to go. And so they keep walking. Even at one point, like, Danielle Harris, who's like, you know, hurting, because, I mean, you know, pregnant woman just can't keep fucking walking all day.
Yeah,
you know?
because they've been traveling for quite a while.
Yeah, and then she starts having cramps, and
Mr. carries her.
Yeah. Well, I forgot about earlier in the movie when they're in the junkyard, he's having a talk with Martin, and he's like, I'm worried about the girl. She's slowing us down.
Yeah, well, he shouldn't have said that.
Yeah, and then later on, like, I mean, it's kind of proven when, you know, she's kind of like wants to sit and rest, and they're like, come on, we got to go, and you know, and so Mister picks her up in her arms and carries her, and she says something like, "My daddy used to carry me like this when I was little," and Mister's like, "I'm not your daddy," and she's like, and she said something, I forgot what she said, like.
Yeah, I don't remember either. But yeah.
So they wind up like in a part of the woods at a campfire, and they're sitting watching guard while she's sleeping, and all of a sudden when you hear something going off like in the woods around them, like running around,
and they go after it.
Yeah,
and they leave her ass there, which is stupid.
Yeah, they run off, they start chasing whoever it is, and they run like a good ways, and they finally stop at one point, and they're like, fuck. Like, they run back, and sure enough, Danielle Harris is gone.
Yeah, it's just like, wow, you gotta be fucking kidding me.
Yeah, and then he says something like, come on, we're close, you know?
Right.
And so they're walking, and then it shows the next morning, they reach a building, and you can hear Danielle Harris in the building, like, screaming.
Right.
Like she's being tortured.
Right.
And then, like, Martin, who starts to walk towards the building, and Mister's even telling him, like, it's a trap, boy. He's goading us, like. And Martin just looks back, like, I don't care. And you see him like take his coat off and get his like
shotgun.
Yeah, his shotgun out, and he just runs up in there, and you see Danielle Harris like tied up to something, and she's all slashed up and bloody, and
she's fucked up.
Yeah, and as he tries to go to her to untie her, you see him get attacked, and it's like when you find out it's
the cult.
Jebediah.
Yeah, the cult leader. He's alive, and
yeah,
what the hell is he? Because I
guess you would say he's some kind of fucking hybrid
or something. Yeah, because if he was a vampire, vampires don't in the movie they didn't talk other than him.
Yeah, even Martin says whenever they discover Willie dead, he even realized like something's not right here.
Yeah.
Like,
and here's another thing: how the fuck did this vampire cult leader now find these guys after they've been traveling for days and days?
They left him tied to the fucking tree.
And they've been long gone. How the fuck did this guy track them down?
Yeah.
That didn't make sense to me.
Yeah, figure the fact that they were driving for fucking days.
Right, and walking.
And then even after the car broke down, they walked. But see, the thing about it is, one, I kind of got an idea going back and watching that, but I could be wrong. But so I'll get to that. But so anyway, they go in there, see Danielle Harris, and then slashed up, and all of a sudden Martin gets attacked and starts getting his head dunked in the thing of water. Like, drink up, boy.
Yeah.
and he winds up like, and then Mister shows up, starts fighting them, and he winds up putting Mister against the wall.
Yeah.
And taking his stakes and
staking his hands.
Mister's hands onto the wall, and
it's fucked up. That's when the kid drove something through his back.
Yeah.
The cult leader's back.
And he's like, "Oh, you missed, boy." And then I forgot Mister did something like
he put his foot on his chest and pushed the stake into him just enough to hit the heart.
Yeah, and take him out.
Which he was. Yeah, he didn't put up. He wasn't like a hard fight or nothing.
Yeah, like all this build up and showing that he's some kind of like vampire hybrid now.
Yeah, it's like half vampire, half human still. Because I don't get it.
Because he even said to either Martin or Mister that he's like, when y'all left me tied to that tree, he's like, I prayed and God listened.
Yeah.
And he's like, I gave my blood willingly. And I guess because of all of that, like, made him some kind of like fucking vampire hybrid.
Right, where he can talk and think and have the powers of a vampire like Blade.
It's like, it's like he's got like he's a vampire, but yet
he's a human.
He's got like human abilities,
right?
Like think and the talk and the
right.
But so they take him out. They get Mister undone,
and then they have to. He ends up killing. He has to take out Danielle Harris,
which you don't even see. Like,
right.
You see him going up to Danielle Harris and putting his head on like her head,
right.
And think for a minute, and then you just hear like the stabbing sound of him stabbing her, and you just hear like.
But then you see him pulling the stake out, and he was fucked up on that. That fucked him up.
Yeah.
But it was weird is that like that fucked him up, but his parents and his son, or not his son, his mom's kid, or brother, didn't fuck him up or nothing.
Yeah, I'm saying you think like the baby that you see in the beginning of the movie is never clarified if that was a baby boy or a baby girl.
Right. So his family gets taken out. He doesn't seem to be all upset about it. But when Danielle Harris gets taken out, he's really fucked up over it.
Well, you gotta figure how all the days and everything that they
Which I don't know. I just thought that was kind of like a movie mistake.
It's like he even says at one point, like, they weren't a team. They were basically like, he's like, I lost my family,
Right.
but this is like, he's talking about Mr. Daniel Harris, Willie, even the sister, like, basically like that was his family now,
Right. So she ends up passing away, and then they end up finding this blonde-headed girl.
Yeah, well, first they leave and they find, this is what I think, because they find a truck on the road, which, when I went back and looked, when Mr. and Martin, they got a hold of that one cult guy to take his truck and decorate up to take out Jebediah.
Right.
The truck that they find on the road looks similar to the truck that the cult had. So it makes me think, like, maybe that's how he was able to track them. Maybe he, when he turned, he was able to get that truck, because they left the truck there.
Yeah, maybe, but
And
I don't
because
know.
him being a hybrid, he could think, and because I don't see, no matter if you're unless you could fucking fly, there's no way he could exactly know where the fuck they were.
Unless if he tracked them by scent, but it was never explained.
Yeah,
They were long gone.
Yeah, like I said, they were driving for days, walking for days. It's like, how the fuck could if he was just on foot or walking, like, how the fuck could he have tracked them?
I don't know, but they at some point they end up finding this blonde-headed girl.
Yeah,
who's alone.
They stop at like a restaurant because they see a couple vampires laying on the side of the road with like arrows in them, and they're like, okay, this is odd, and like they get out and start checking it out. All of a sudden, you hear like a lady yell, like freeze, and and which is funny, like you see them like put their hands up like they're like, hey, we come in peace, and then
Right. She knows that they're human. They're not fucking vampires.
yeah. But I'm saying, like, she invites them in, and you see them, sitting there in the restaurant, like she made them food and stuff, and
Right.
she's kind of like, just kind of saying who she is. Her name's Peggy, and that her mom and dad own the restaurant, and basically her parents were killed, and she buried them out back, and she just basically has just stayed there at the restaurant, with a bow and arrow, taking out vamps whenever they come by. And you can see, like, right off the bat, there's like, she has an attraction to Martin.
Right.
And they're sitting there alone, and she even states, like, because I mean, they look like they're basically both the same age.
Right. Somewhere in their like mid-teens.
Yeah.
Mid-late
She asked them. She says something at one point. She's like, "It's been a long time since I've seen a boy."
Yeah.
And it kind of gives you that impersonation, like, and then, like, later on, they're up at the window, like, she's showing them how she takes out the vamps with her bow and arrow deal, and
Right. Which was a cool scene.
yeah, so it takes out a couple of vamps, and she's like, "Oh shit!" And they're like, "What?" He's like, "It's I forgot his name, but there was one of the vamps that she had a name."
Yeah, she had a couple of arrows already shot into the guy, but
yeah, and she said that's she knew the guy, like she knew the guy back from high school, and she's like, he's been out there for days now, and I just can never get a clear shot at him.
Right.
And Martin just like, I was like, I'll get him.
And he goes out there.
Yeah, and like Peggy's like yelling, like, Martin, no. And you see him go, and even Mister's like watching, and you see him go out there, use the training that Mister taught him, take his stake and just like, you know, like take him out. And the next scene, you see that him and Peggy are like in bed sleeping together, and Martin's like, or Mister is sitting by them, just like watching over them. And then Martin wakes up the next morning, and fucking Mister's gone.
Yep, because that's when the kid became a man.
Yeah, because I mean, I think that's what Mister's. Cause remember what he said about Danielle Harris about, you know, it's like she's slowing us down. Well, that's probably how he felt at that point. Like, I'm gonna slow them down. Like,
Yeah.
I mean,
well, plus he probably felt at that time that the kid was now man enough, you know.
Yeah, and I mean, he was
to be on his own.
And plus, you know, Peggy seemed like she could, you know, fucking fend for herself too with her. And so it's just like, fuck it, you know, like my work here is done. Let them go off and let them get to. Because I don't think that was something Mister ever wanted to do in the first place. I think he just liked driving, you know, going from town place to place. And
right, he was more, I think, of a loner type guy than to be with a whole bunch of people.
Yeah,
you know, so but
that's why I think he decided to leave, and he just.
But they do end up, you know, hanging back out again in the second film.
Yeah.
You know, but from there, I don't think that. I think that's almost the end of the movie. The kid and the girl end up driving off.
Yeah, they get in the truck and they drive, and you see them like, you know, go under a bridge that says "You are now entering New Eden."
Right.
And it just shows them like in the truck, like looking at it, smiling at each other, and then
and that's when the credits started rolling.
Yeah, movie ends. So I was like.
Right. So that's interesting. And then they didn't make a second one until quite a few years later.
Yeah, and they brought back, like, it was cool because they brought, like, they explained, like, what happened. Because, I mean, I guess it was because it was years later that,
right,
you know, you find out in this movie that, you know, Martin, I guess, was now married to that Peggy girl.
Right.
And they had a kid together, which... It's funny, in the second movie, you find out that they had a daughter, and he named his daughter Belle after Danielle Harris.
Right. But all in all, what did you think of the first film? I thought it was pretty good. It was a good vampire film.
It was good, but like I said, there was just some parts in there that just didn't. It seemed like when I went back and watched it now, it's just like there's some parts in there that just didn't make any fucking sense to me.
Yeah, it did make sense. But then again, from what I'm reading, they only had 26 days of shooting this film. That's a little under a month. You know, the writing was good, the dialogue was good, the directing was good. It's just, I wouldn't have killed off the main characters, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, main thing, what I would have done, I wouldn't have, I mean, the fact they showed that Martin and Danielle Harris had, like, a thing.
They had, they had, like, a good friendship, but it didn't really blossom into, like, a relationship.
Yeah, I mean, but I just think, to me...
And I wouldn't have had her character pregnant, either.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I wouldn't have had her character killed off. What I would have, if it was me... If I did that ending, I would have had them go there, take out the cult guy, and then would have, like, rescued. It would have been perfect. Like, if they would have rescued Danielle Harris,
right,
and she would have wound up going into labor, having her baby,
and then those two going off to that other place.
Yeah, and then that's the way I feel like it should have ended. Instead of him and that Peggy girl, which, you know, I got no problem with that Peggy girl. She was pretty cool.
Yeah,
but
right.
Yeah,
I hear you. I agree.
I would have liked to have seen, like, him, Danielle Harris, and the baby going to New Eden at the...
I agree, and I would have been a little different. I don't think I would have had her pregnant at all, but I definitely wouldn't have had her getting killed in the movie. You know,
Yeah.
That way, they could also, when they did the part 2, they could have brought Danielle Harris back, but they can't do that since she got offed in the first one. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, like, what's her face? Sister Kelly McGillis. I would have had her live. Willie, I don't know. I probably would have had him live too, but maybe not. Maybe have him get fucked up or something real bad by the cult leader.
I wouldn't have had him taken out like how he was because it's like.
Yeah, these guys went through a lot, and then just to get taken out by this crazy cult leader is.
They get taken out, and you don't even see him get taken out. Like you just see him, like during the night, walk out to take a piss, and then next morning, Mister's like waking everybody up, like Willie's missing.
Right.
You know, and then to find him dead in a fucking tree with his heart ripped out.
It's crazy.
Like, and that's when he even says like. He's like, something came in there and grabbed up Willie. He's like, he avoided all our traps, and you know, and he's like, what do you make of that? He's like, I don't know. I've never heard of a thinking vamp before.
Yeah, and this one fucking speaks too. It's just fucking weird.
Yeah, which is the only vampire throughout the whole movie that can actually speak.
Right.
But
for what?
But yeah, like, I mean, there was some stuff I would have done differently. Some stuff like...
Yeah, I would have changed a few things up, directed it differently. But then again, they didn't have much to go on. I mean, the budget was only $625,000.
Yeah.
So that's not a big budget. And they only had 26 days of shooting.
You could tell from the movie that you tell didn't seem like that big a budget because...
Right.
Maybe that's why they didn't. When they went to towns, they didn't stay long. Like
right, they couldn't do much. You know, they probably could have done a lot more if they had more money to work with, more days to shoot things. So I can understand, you know, when you're working really fast and you have to get things done within a month.
Yeah.
You know, but all in all, I think it's a solid, cool vampire film that's worth watching. I'd have to say one of my favorite scenes in the movies in that film was when they were dropping vampires out of fucking helicopters.
Yeah, like you see them
that's
all
a cool
dancing,
idea.
Like that was cool because like you see them all dancing, having a good time, and you just see like this giant spotlight come out on and they're like, and you hear the helicopter rearing around, and you hear the one guy like yelling out like, "It's the Brotherhood!"
Right.
And all of a sudden you just see like a body just fall off and like fall on a house or something, and you're thinking, what the fuck? And then all of a sudden you see that there's a damn vampire.
Yeah, well, that's a good idea too.
Yeah.
But yeah, what would you score it? I think I would give it a solid 7 out of 10.
I was about 6. I mean, I would have gave it I'd probably, if they would have done a few certain different things, I would have gave it a 10. But
right, if they
would, I think I'd give it a good solid 7 as well. I mean,
yeah,
like remember we always talked about before we watched this movie again. We always used to talk about how we were like, man, this movie was one of the best fucking vampire movies they ever made. But
yeah, then watched it years later. You're like, oh, okay, it's not so.
Yeah,
it's not so like, great. I mean, it's still cool.
Remember, we always thought like it was great, but then we always thought like, man, they sure fucked that movie up in the last 10 minutes. You know, killing off Danielle Harris and having him meet that Peggy girl, and it's like, oh, I just totally forget all about Danielle Harris.
Right.
You know.
Yeah, like I said, if I was to direct that film, I would have definitely done a few different things.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Well, it's just like, to me, like, the problems I have is, like I said, one was Kelly McGillis. Like, you just wonder, like, what the fuck was her purpose in this movie? Because, I mean, yeah, she was with the team, she was doing it, but she never seemed like she did anything. Like, she was just there.
Right. But she's just an added character, I guess, you know?
Yeah. But, and then the way even the way she got killed, like I don't think I mean I wouldn't have had her killed off either. I would have had her like
I would have had her, yeah, she would have had her live in the movie. You know?
Yeah, I would have had her. I would have had her at least stick around for a little bit, like longer in the movie, like
Yeah.
because like it's weird, like they pick her up, they travel with her for a while, and then when they get get set up by the Brotherhood, and Martin and Mister both get away, and she has to stay there, and then when they go back and confront the guy, he's like, "The bitch done run off on me."
Yeah.
And it's like you didn't see her again until they got to that town, and where they find her.
Right. Yeah.
And
Well.
and you're like, whoa, okay, like she's back, and it's like you seem like they're one big happy family, and like they in that junkyard, and when the berserkers attack, and it's just like, oh, she's gonna run a different direction, and then just take herself out, like.
Yeah,
What the fuck are you even good for in this movie?
I don't know. You gotta talk to the writers on that. But
like there's a scene in the junkyard when they're all sleeping. You make them think that she's badass because she's like sleeping, but she's got like a gun like on her, like right on her chest, like ready just to jump up any second, like
Right.
But
all in all, it's a good film. Not great, had its flaws. And,
yeah.
But,
it's funny though, like you said, we watched this movie years ago, and for years we were always thinking like, man, that movie was so great, but man, they fucked that movie up in the last 10 minutes because
right. They do that a lot in a lot of Danielle Harris movies. They kill her off for some odd reason. It's like she got typecasted as getting killed in horror films.
Yeah, because I mean, it's not just this movie. It's like the last several movies that Danielle Harris has done.
She's taken out.
Like she'll do a good job in the movie. She'll make it always up to like the last 10-15 minutes of the movie, and then just out of the blue, like she gets taken out.
Right.
And there was one movie of hers that I've seen called Redwood Massacre Annihilation, which was stupid because like she literally got killed in the last 3 minutes of the movie.
Right.
The last 3 fucking minutes, she gets fucking taken out. Like, just when she thinks like they're on their way to like safe, this guy and a fucking soldier comes out and it says something like, she asked him, like, is there anybody else alive? And they're like, no, it's just us. He's like, good. And then like this military guy just steps forward, pulls a gun out, caps her and the guy that she was with, like caps them both in the fucking head. And it's just like, you're like thinking like, wait a minute, what the fuck?
Yeah, I don't understand the writers or directors on shit like that. I mean, they did the same thing with her in that Kane movie. What was it, See No Evil 2?
Yeah, See No Evil 2. Like, you think she's the main, you think that she's going to be the main star, the one that survives to the end.
Right.
And then, like, the last several minutes of the movie, she goes to open a door, and just before she put her hand on the doorknob, like you see Kane is on the other side of the door, stabs it with a knife, and winds up stabbing her in the damn gut.
It's crazy.
Same way with another movie she did called Black Waters of Echoes Pond. She fucking was in that the last 10 fucking minutes of the movie. Then there's a guy coming at her and this other guy with a damn chainsaw, and the guy puts her in front of him to save himself so that she get impaled by a damn chainsaw.
Yeah. Same thing happens in like Hatchet 3. She gets like stuck on a tree or something.
Yeah, she got he impaled her through her stomach on a damn tree, and it's like she wound up like taking Victor Crowley out, and then it's like you think she just finally just like laid there and died because you hear like And
So she ends up, you seeing her in the next
like
film,
your
cameo.
stop breathing, and then
Right.
right before they're gonna roll the credits, you just like you see her go,
Right.
and like and then Victor Crawley.
She has a cameo.
Yeah. I wouldn't really say that's a fucking cameo. I like a minute cameo where she just gets out of a chair, walks over, and you see her pull out a shotgun and go, "I've been waiting for you, motherfucker."
Right. So you know what that's called? It's called typecasting. They
Yeah.
just cast her as the same fucking thing in these horror films, which is too bad. But anyways, getting back to Stakeland, if you're into vampire movies or horror movies, it's definitely worth checking out.
Yeah.
And I would definitely watch it. Pick it up on DVD or Blu-ray. It's a cool movie.
And y'all could see what the fuck we're talking about the mistakes and this and that.
Right.
Like, I mean, I'm not gonna shit on this movie. I mean, it was really good. It was different.
Right. I
But
mean,
just,
it's not the direction that I would have went with it, but
No,
it's
I mean-
still. Then again, like I said, these guys didn't have a big budget. They didn't have a lot of time to shoot the
here's
film.
thing, they didn't have a big budget. They had 26 days to do it, and the movie is only 98 minutes long.
Right.
And you're trying to pack in all this shit into an hour and 38-minute movie.
Right.
Yeah.
The movie should have been a lot longer, in my opinion.
Yeah,
And the character development should have been better, and the people should have lived. The main stars.
Yeah, they could have made the movie 2 hours, and they could have used that time to explain more what the fuck's going on. Like,
Right. And I would have liked to have seen more scenes with the cult leader. More of the character development with him in it, because you only see him like 3 times in the movie.
Yeah, you see him the one time when they get Martin. You see him again. You see him a second time when they got that roadblock when Mister and them are watching from their little in the wherever the fuck they were at. But
Right. Then
and you see him grab the guy out of his car and execute him.
right.
You see him then. And
Then-
then when they pull that shit on him, where they took out his guys and dressed themselves up like him to fucking
Right.
trick him.
And then you tie him to a tree, and then you see him at the end.
Yeah, where he's just like, "Drink up, boy." That
So-
was a funny scene. Him fucking just coming out of the blue and just dunking his head in that damn tub is like, "Drink up, boy."
Yeah. So all in all, cool vampire movie. I think we're gonna wrap this one up.
Yeah.
But
I
definitely
think so.
go check this one out, guys. This is a pretty cool film.
Yeah. So it's like I said, it's worth the watch.
Oh yeah. So I hope you guys enjoyed this review. That is it for now. We're out of here, and adios.